Are you curious about the unknown, the unexplainable? Do you find yourself intrigued by the mysterious and paranormal side of our world? Join us on an adventure into the world of inexplicable discoveries and investigations that may someday give us a final answer as to what may be behind the veil of reality. Then it's time to turn your pods up, because we're live to tape from the mountains of West Virginia. It's time once again for Let's Find Out with co-host Diego. The universe is waiting for you.
Live to tape from the mountains of West Virginia. Welcome to another episode of Let's Find Out with co-host Diego. Thank you for taking this journey with me on this episode of Let's Find Out. Somewhere in the West during a road trip, our guest encountered something very unusual, an unexpected sighting of a UFO, and also being observed by the ones called the Men in Black. Our guest is also an author of strange and fantastic fiction. All this plus more. Please welcome to Let's Find Out author and UFO witness, Austin Shirey. Austin, my friend, welcome to Let's Find Out. Thank you for being here to share your fantastic experience with us.
Hey, Diego. Happy to be here, man. Super excited about this.
Yeah, I've been, ever since we met over there in Ashburn, the Blend Coffee Bar during the author meet and greet. My wife was there for a little bit, and I keep talking to her about I gotta have Austin on. You wouldn't believe what he just shared with me about 5 minutes ago. So I was very super happy you came over. We briefly talked because we were kind of
Man.
busy. You were busy with the book signings, and I was busy promoting the show. So let's get to it. Let's talk about why we are here tonight.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about this road trip because it went across 3 states in the West, correct?
Yeah, so this was back in 2009, I believe. And so I was moving a friend of mine that had lived here in Virginia for a while, and he was moving back to Utah. So we decided, hey, it'd be cool if we got a U-Haul truck and just kind of put all his crap in the back. And then we would just take a cross-country trip from Virginia to Utah. And along the way, his younger brother stayed with his grandparents in Nevada. So we stopped on our way to Utah to visit his grandparents, drop his brother off. That was where Nevada and Kansas were the 2 spots where we saw the most weird, stuff that was going on.
And how far into your trip did you first encounter or seen the UFO or the Men in Black? Because I don't know the timeline for the states. We talked about it earlier, but we can go over it very slowly and then just work from there.
Yeah. So, the weird stuff started happening as soon as we hit Kansas, for whatever reason. And we weren't sleeping at hotels or anything. We had my friend, because we were moving all his stuff, we just put a mattress in the back of the U-Haul. So when we were, tired, we drove through the night a lot, but when we were tired or anything, we'd just pull off somewhere like a Walmart, go to sleep there. So we made pretty good time kind of going across country, but it was as soon as we hit Kansas, it was like a switch went off or something, and just weird stuff started happening. We stopped at this little gas station, in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and heard chainsaws and screaming across the road.
Get out of town.
Yeah, no, 100% real. Swear to God, could not figure out what was going on. There was nobody else really, besides us and the gas station attendant. But we're just hearing this horrible, god awful screaming across the street, and chainsaw sounds, and we're all let's just get out of here, man. And then while we're driving through Kansas, It was late at night. We were just kind of, I mean, Kansas is flat, and it's just, if you're on a road in Kansas, it just goes on forever, right? So we just been on this road for, I God, I don't even know how long, but it must have been like 1 or 2 in the morning, and my friend Matt, who was driving at the time, noticed some like a red light in the driver's side mirror, and he was like, "That's weird," like because we hadn't passed any cars or anything. And so the rest of us, we're like looking out the passenger window, and it's like these like 3 red lights or whatever, like in a triangle formation, like kind of back beyond the truck. But it was super dark, in between the lights or whatever. And it just kind of moved, like all 3 of them just kind of moved side to side, like a little bit, sped up or would slow down. It came over our truck, and like for a while just like matched speed with the truck or whatever, which was really, really creepy. um, and yeah, man, that was the UFO thing, and that went on for a long time. I want to say like maybe an hour or so.
That
it,
is an
it
extremely
stuck with
long
us.
time for something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was really weird.
Did it make any sounds? Did you was there any mechanical issues with the truck?
No, man, truck was working perfectly. We like we rolled down the passenger side window, kind of stuck our heads out to, especially when it was over us, because we kind of lost sight of it in the mirrors. So we're like hanging out the side of the window, looking straight up at this thing. No sound whatsoever. I mean, other than the, obviously there's the sound of us driving and passing stuff, but nothing that, like, we were expecting like a jet engine or something, like how big this thing was, and the fact that it was, uh, seemed to move pretty quickly at like high speeds or whatever. And that was really creepy too, like just how quiet it was. I was not expecting that.
Now, prior to this experience, have you ever seen one before, a UFO or anything like that?
No, me personally, no. And I honestly, I can't remember if my friends had seen them or were not. But I want to say it had to have been like the first for all of us, because we were all really freaked out. And especially for me, I had just kind of always taken the whole idea, UFOs, aliens, all that stuff, just like with, it was just kind of like crap. It was funny crap that people made up, or people, I thought maybe it was people having some kind of hallucination, or it was drugs, whatever. I was kind of like, yeah, that's not real, or whatever. And um, man, that kind of mindset changes when you have an encounter with something like this, like real yourself, like kind of face to face with it. It was it was eye opening, and just kind of like, okay, like maybe I don't have answers for everything.
No, and I can understand why someone who has not had that experience would think that it's all baloney or a hoax, because there are a lot of people out there, especially, I mean, in the Bigfoot community or in the cryptids, you see them online all the time with that fake stuff, and especially now with the AI and all this crazy
Right.
software. So one can understand until it happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for an hour, which is I think is a pretty long time for this object to be following your truck. Once it left your line of sight, or once you all stopped seeing it, how fast did it leave? Was it lightning fast, or did it just hover and just slowly move away?
No, it was like, it was snap of the fingers, it was gone. Like you blinked and it was just gone. Um in fact, I feel like that's what it was. Like, I want to say we're, because the thing with this is, the entire time, from the time we caught first sight of it to the time that it left, um there were 4 of us in the U-Haul, and like I said, Matt was driving, and then there was his brother Josh and our friend Tyler, and Tyler, Josh, and I pretty much did not stop looking at it. Matt was focusing on driving, and he was out. We were making it really hard for him, not only because he was freaked out about what he'd seen in the mirror, but he was also freaking out because of the way we were reacting to it. So yeah, we were watching it the whole time, and I just remember thinking it was really smooth in its movements, and it just seemed, I was really weirded out by the fact that it just hovered above us and like kept speed with the car, and we couldn't hear, or the truck, and we couldn't hear any engine sounds or anything. And it was like it was weird too, because like I said, you could see the three red lights, and they made like a triangle formation, but there was nothing in between the lights. It was just black, as black as the night sky. And in fact, that same night, we ended up like having to like outrun a tornado and like get away from that, because it started storming super bad. And like I said, we're in Kansas, so we had to like find shelter and all that crap. And that was later, after the UFO thing. But it wasn't like an easy night to see stuff either. But this was just as clear as anything.
I mean, not to add to your problems already, you've seen a UFO, now you're out running a tornado.
Yeah, God, it was. We hate Kansas. Like,
well, I would too.
All
at
of
this
us
point.
on the like, we to this day, we will still text each other and just be like, "F Kansas."
Oh my goodness!
Like, can't handle it.
So once this object, or these three lights in a triangle formation left, how soon after was there a moment of silence during the trip, or did you all go, did you see what I saw, kind of thing? Did you talk about it much, or you just chose to just keep going forward?
Oh no, that's all we were talking about, until until it started storming really bad, and then we had to deal with the whole tornado thing and trying to find a safe place to pull off. But yeah, I mean, that from the moment the lights showed up, and then even after they left, up until the storm, that's all we were talking about.
No, I don't blame you. So now that we've gone through the lights and then the tornado, yet even all this plus more, as I say, now you're crossing to another state and dealing with something completely different.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember. I was trying to remember specifically what we were doing that night in Nevada. I can't remember if it was as we were, coming into Nevada from our trip, or if this was just us driving around in the middle of the night, because we did that a couple times while we stayed with the grandparents there. We would just drive around at night and go out into the desert and stuff. And I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was as we were coming into the state, because we got lost on the highway. And this was like maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. We got lost. We couldn't figure out where we had missed a turn. And it's a long, lonely stretch of highway, those highways out there. It's just desert and road. This night, it was super clear. It was probably the most beautiful like night sky I've ever seen in my life, just because like the stars there, like, there's no light pollution when you're out in the like highway that's running through the desert, and it just, like, the stars were incredible. And we stopped on the side of the road, like the shoulder of the road, to wake up Matt, because Matt was sleeping back in the bed of the U-Haul, on the mattress, and I think I was driving at this point, so I stopped, pulled over. We went around the back of the truck to open it up and get Matt, and then we all just kind of stood there, looking at the sky because it was just absolutely stunning. Like gold, purple, black, blue. I mean, it was just insane. And so we're just kind of chatting, explaining the situation to Matt, because he's just our navigator. He was like our main navigator guy. He just has a good head for direction, and just kind of asking like, hey, like we need to, have you do something with the GPS so we can get back to where we're going. And then all of a sudden, like all of us just felt this really weird, like, I don't know if presence is the right word, but more like just that undeniable feeling that you're like being watched. And I would say it felt like really close, which was really odd because we're in the middle of nowhere. And we turn around, there is a black Cadillac sitting maybe 5-10 feet away from us off the shoulder of the road. Lights are off, the engine isn't running, it's just sitting there, and it wasn't there when we pulled over. We can't see, through the windows, obviously, because it's so dark outside, and we've turned off our truck, so there's no light except the stars, right? And so we just like, we're like, okay, that, like, where did this come from? Like, who is this? And it was like an old style, like Cadillac, like not a new model. This was like something you'd see in like a gangster movie from like the 50s 60s type thing. And like I don't know about Matt and Josh and Tyler, but I just remember we're standing there looking at this car, and I felt this like overwhelming like sense of just like evil, or like malevolence just kind of emanating from this car. And I'm like, guys, like, let's get back in the truck. Let's just start driving. Let's just get out of here. Like, this can't be good. As soon as like we've discussed that and we're heading back to the truck, the car takes off, just like, vamps back onto the main road and just zooms past us. And the freakiest thing about that was not only how quickly the car moved, it didn't seem to need like any warm up time or anything. There was no engine sound or like sound of tires. Like, it was completely silent and just freaked the hell out of all of us.
Wow, we're not talking about a hybrid vehicle. We're talking about an old style Cadillac. It's not going to be quiet.
Right. Yeah. And we're just like, what was that? And like, oh my God, dude. Like, I've never, like I'm sure there's been times in my life where like my gut reaction has picked up on, evil or something, but like this was the most intense feeling of that I think I've ever had in my life. And it just, whatever was in that car was not a nice thing.
Now, were you able to see how many occupants were in the vehicle, or were the windows probably blacked out?
I don't know if they were blacked out or if it was just because they were, it was dark outside, and I mean the windows like reflected the, the night sky and stuff as it passed by us. It had no license plates, which was another weird thing, because I remember watching it just zoom down the highway, and I was looking for license plate. I'm like, maybe we can report report this or something, or look it up, and no license plate that I could see.
And this wasn't one of those where you pulled off on a side road or a shortcut. This was on a main stretch of road, right?
It was a main highway in Nevada. I can't remember it was like that main one. I'm not sure if it was the main highway in Nevada or one of the main highways, but it was a big one.
And after this, and after the whole moving sucks to begin with. Now you're dealing with this extra stuff.
Right.
When you got home or to your destination, did you discuss this with anybody else? Did you keep it amongst the group?
I mean, the group, we still talk about it to this day. So we constantly talk about it and be like, hey, remember that one time? I remember actually a couple months ago, I was scrolling through YouTube, and some news clip came up of some weird lights that I think were seen in New York, and it was in the like shape of the triangle we saw in Kansas, and it was the same color lights. And like I took a screenshot and texted it because it freaked me out. I was like, "Holy crap! It's like it's back or whatever." But and then I mean I don't know about the other guys, but I know I've been pretty open about it. You know, both experiences. Talking with my friends and family about it. And yeah, it's one of those like I've never really shied away from talking about it just because it was so bizarre.
No, and I'm glad that you came up to the table and started giving me the Cliff Notes version of it. It was very quick. Nothing since then? Any experience or any of you or your other friends?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I haven't experienced anything, and as far as I know, Matt, Josh, and Tyler haven't. And actually, I had talked to Josh because I wanted to make sure I was getting because it's been a while. I was getting Kansas and Nevada mixed together. I was like, I texted him. I was like, did the UFO thing happen before we, had the Men in Black thing in Nevada? And he was like, no, that was UFO was in Kansas before the tornadoes. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, man, it's crazy stuff. And actually those experiences, I think, for one, like I said, coming from the standpoint of a person who didn't really take those kind of experiences seriously, those experiences had such a huge impact on me that they actually like found their way into some of my fiction. And I ended up writing a novella that hasn't been published yet, hasn't been picked up by a publisher yet, that is kind of a fictionalized version of that road trip, and I kind of fictionalized the UFO part and the Men in Black part, and into something that I is completely fictional, but still has a root in these real experiences I had.
And you kind of beat me to the punch because I was going to close the show and I was going to ask you, um, going back to that experience, there was a chance that you're going to write something about this on either a short story or a future book. But now you're giving me the answer.
Yeah, it's something I had kind of pulled from for this novella, and decided to fictionalize it. And yeah, like I said, I'm still looking for a publisher on it and stuff. I've got it out at a few different places. But yeah, that's like one of my fiction stuff that I've done.
That's definitely going to pick that one up. Now, speaking of books, your latest book, Goodly Creatures, right?
Right.
A story about a climate-ravaged future with a hunt for an elusive biosynthetic creature. What is this creature? What is it doing?
Yeah, so the creature is basically an amalgamation of a bunch of different. It's like a hybrid creature that this biotech company has put together to try and fix some of the climate stuff going on. So they're trying to put these creatures, these hybrids, out into the world, hoping that maybe that can kind of turn the tide. This specific creature is like a mix of an anglerfish and like a salamander. It's got some Komodo dragon DNA in it too. So I kind of imagined this like big, nasty lizard thing. But yeah, it gets loose in the biotech facility and starts causing havoc. And as we're following the bioengineer who's chasing this creature, we meet a few other of the strange employees of this biotech company and come to realize that they're not, even though they may have good intentions, they're not necessarily the nicest people, and they may actually be causing more harm in the long run than good.
Now, with a topic such as this, what kind of research did you do? Because you're talking about not only a actual creature, but you're talking about climate. You're talking about biosynthetic. Where
Yeah.
did you draw your, I would say, inspiration, but where did you do the groundwork on that at?
Yeah, so I basically did a lot of reading of some like scientific articles, about like what's happening with the climate, how that's affecting creatures, um, and kind of I didn't necessarily stick completely to science because I have some stuff in there that's just not possible. It's fiction. Um, but I kind of took it as a jumping off point of like, okay, what if you had a creature that there was something in it that was able to make stuff that would fix ozone, fix the ozone hole, or I have another creature in there that since at least in the future of this short story, the bees have died out and there's no more really pollinators left, so they create this creature that's like a fox that also has the stuff that bees have on them to collect pollen, so that as it's moving around the world and stuff, it picks up pollen and cross pollinates and all that stuff, just things like that, to be like, hey, what if this, what if that. I read a lot of stuff on just how there's some companies out there that are really trying to be green and to create green technology, that the question is raised, the amount of pollution that they create um while making their tech, is that kind of canceling out the good that this technology will do. Like, is there going to be anything left by the time they finally made this stuff that it's actually going to be able to make a difference, things like that. So just a lot of just really, really articles, editorials, stuff like that.
And other than the creature, what are other standout characters in the book?
So the two other main characters is Crawford, who is the bioengineer that's trying to get this creature back. She's kind of cool in and of herself, where she has a lot of body modification, like biotech modification, because she lost her legs in a car crash, and they've basically replaced her legs with synthetic human size like crab legs. So she's walking, she's like half human, half crab. Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird. And then there's like the head of security at the biotech company, Shrike. She is an owl human hybrid. So she's got like an owl head and talons on her hands, and is feathered, but she's a humanoid. So, and she's got the security cameras are connected to the cameras she has for eyes. So yeah, just weird out there sci-fi stuff.
Oh, I love sci-fi.
Yeah, no, it's I'm a big fan of sci-fi. Big fan of Philip K. Dick, Blade Runner, Jeff Vandermeer. Both of those were two big influences on this story, I would say.
And for the listeners of Let's Find Out that are interested in purchasing a copy of your book or downloading, where can they go? Not only find out more about what you do and your works and contacting you, but where can they find their copy?
So Goodly Creatures is exclusively on Amazon.com. You can get it on ebook for $1.99 or paperback for $6.99. It's a short chapbook. It's got one short story, or it's got two short stories. I added a bonus short story in there that takes place in the same universe, but it's also illustrated. So it's got some illustrations in there. It's got a really beautiful cover that the artist did. And also, if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can read it on Kindle Unlimited for free.
Oh, and I'm actually scrolling through your website right now. I really dig that front cover. It kind of reminds me of Futurama meets the Snorks meets
Yeah,
80s, you know?
yeah. And actually, my wife did that. My wife designed that. So yeah, she's really, really great at the graphic art stuff. And so I had this idea and kind of just showed her like a little scribble of what I was thinking, and then she did that. So yeah, and you can also find that book and other information on me at my website, austinshirey.com.
Excellent. And I know we left off on some. I'm going to go back to the UFO real quick and the novella that might be coming out. Do you have a working title for it, or is it going to be a surprise when you drop that book?
Yeah, I have a working title for it. It's called Pallbearers. So and I can give a little pitch of it here. It's about three best friends. Their mutual best friend has just passed away. And so they're kind of grieving that, and they were supposed to go on a cross-country road trip with him. And so they decide to do it anyway. And they come across before they leave, one of them hears a podcast that talks about a possible secret facility in the Nevada desert that can resurrect people. And so they go and they dig up the body of their friend and go on this cross-country road trip to find this secret facility, hoping to resurrect him. But because of what they're doing, they catch the eye of some shady Men in Black type government people that a person I call the company man. And he kind of pursues them on this absurd cross-country journey where they run into UFOs and werewolves. And there's something I'm really proud of that I promised Brian Lenish I would mention is there's a soda can monster in this novella.
Right. Everything sounds already good for what makes for great science fiction. Wow. No, that sounds awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's near and dear to my heart. Yeah, just trying to find it a good home.
Great. And once you find a great home for it and it's released, if you could please come back to Let's Find Out, and we'll talk about it, and we'll retell the story of the genesis of the story, and go from there.
Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely.
Perfect. I appreciate you coming on, and it was great meeting you in Ashburn a few weeks ago, and definitely we'll do this one more time.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it was great meeting you at the author thing too, and really glad we could connect.
Same here. Thank you, my friend. This has been another excellent episode of Let's Find Out with co-host Diego. Please check us out on Spotify, Audible, and all of our social media pages, YouTube, and we're also on Rumble. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Until next time, my friends.
Thank you for listening to Let's Find Out with co-host Diego. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, and on Anchor. For more information about Let's Find Out with co-host Diego, please visit us on facebook.com/co-host Diego, on Twitter at co-host_Diego, and on Instagram as co-host Diego. Copyright co-host Diego. All content for Let's Find Out is the property of co-host Diego and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, co-host Diego, or Let's Find Out. The information shared on Let's Find Out is provided on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.